there. You are there. When we pray, when we're a mess, it is there. You are there. Where can I run? Where can I run? It's by my side and I'm alive. Where can we go? Where can we go? It's yours and mine inside. God sees all of us. God sees all of us. And we are all God's children. God hears all of us. God hears all of us. Even if we don't listen. God in all of us. God in all of us. To be more like children. God sees all of us. God hears all of us. God in all of us. God sees all of us. God sees all of us. God hears all of us. God in all of us. God sees all of us. God sees all of us. God hears all of us. God in all of us. God sees 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 all of us.
Hide me now under your wings. Cover me within your mighty hands. When the oceans rise and thunders
Good morning. Welcome to Church in Bethesda. My name is Shannon Brescher, Shea, and I'm speaking for the occasion of the 53rd Earth Day, which was yesterday on April 22nd. This morning, I'm going to be speaking about Psalm 8:3-8, which says, "When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have set in place. What is mankind that you are mindful of them, human beings that you care for them? You have made them a little lower than the angels and crowned them with glory and honor. You made them rulers over the works of your hands. You put everything under their feet. All flocks and herds and the animals of the wild, all the birds in the sky and the fish in the sea, all that swim the paths of the seas." Now, being under someone's feet is usually a place of disgrace, of humiliation. It's the ultimate symbol of degradation. So what are we to make of the reading for today? You made them rulers over the works of your hands. You put everything under their feet to rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky and over every living creature that moves on the ground. The you in this case is God. Them in this case are humans. We know the way Christians have interpreted this passage and the command in Genesis for centuries. And except for a few exceptions, Christians have taken it as a command to dominate nature, to exploit everything except humans, and often other humans as well, for our own gain, without considering the impact on the other living and non-living beings on the planet. But what if we apply the rules of servant rulers to this passage instead? As Jesus says in Matthew 20:25, "Whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant." What if we extend the you here to beings other than people? In Mark, he says, "Anyone who wants to be first must become the very last and the servant of all." What if that all is more than people? Truly all. Perhaps being a ruler over the work of God's hands means respecting what's literally under our feet, starting with the land. What would it look like to show servant leadership towards the land and the sea, the flocks and the herds, the animals of the wild, the birds of the sky, and the fish of the sea? What if we saw them as more similar to us than separate from us? First, it starts with rebuilding relationship. To love and respect someone or something, we need to have a relationship with it, with them. Modern Western society has lost much of its relationship with the rest of nature. In fact, most of us think of nature as something outside of ourselves. We're here, and nature is somewhere over there. This is in contrast to most indigenous traditions, which hold humans as part of the great structure of nature. As Robin Wall Kimmerer of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation discusses in her book, Braiding Sweetgrass, many Native American tribes think of plants as our older cousins. They're beings to learn from, not to use as we wish. But the idea of being related to plants and animals is in Christianity too, if we look for it. If God is our parent, the rest of creation must be our siblings. After all, in Genesis, God declares everything as being good as he creates it. St. Francis of Assisi, patron saint of animals and my personal favorite saint, has a poem called Canticle of Brother Sun and Sister Moon that reflects this as well. One of the verses says, "Praised be you, my Lord, through our sister, Mother Earth, who sustains and governs us, producing varied fruits with colored flowers and herbs." If we can think of other beings in creation as our family, we can relate to them in a very different way. They are there for our use, but us to live with them and rely on each other in a mutual manner. They're not resources, they're siblings. With this perspective, the second thing we can do is to stop exploiting the surrounding environment, taking and taking and taking until there is nothing left to take. We especially need to stop because so many of the things that we take cause further damage as we use them. Fossil fuels like coal, natural gas, and oil are both incredibly harmful when we take them from the ground and harmful when we burn them for electricity, heat, and fuel. They accelerate climate change, which is and will continue to harm everyone and everything, humans, animals, and plants alike. For humans, it especially causes the most harm and damage to people who have already been so harmed the most from environmental injustices in the past, like people who are low income and or people of color. It also produces huge amounts of soot and other pollutants that choke the air, worsening asthma and heart problems. It affects the neighborhoods the most that already suffer from water and air pollution. So we're just making things worse. Fossil fuels are the apple in the Garden of Eden. Instead of stopping after we've done it the first time, we just keep picking it over and over again. And we'll be suffering the consequences like the original Garden of Eden, and are already. Other apples include deforestation, water pollution, and producing garbage. So we have to stop eating those apples, first and foremost. But it's not enough to just stop doing bad things. So much of modern environmentalism focuses on humans' negative impacts rather than how we can give back to nature in a mutual, restorative way. Unfortunately, you can't have a relationship if you're the only trying to avoid doing harm. Kimmerer discusses the importance of mutual benefit and reciprocity in our relationship with nature. Not just the earth providing for us, but us providing for it. But what could we provide to the earth, to nature itself? Well, we could ask the same of God. God doesn't need anything from us. And yet we find ways to show our love through worship and loving others. Likewise, we can start restoring our relationship with nature by appreciating the fullness of God's creation. Showing gratitude. We can think about where and how we get our food, like what people, water, and land help produce it. We consider where our water comes from and how humans affected its journey through the watershed. We can give thanks for the air we breathe. We can even appreciate the natural beings that surround us every day, showing wonder at the spring flowers, marveling at the buds on trees, and learning the species of our local plants. We can consider what it's like to be an animal, to be a rabbit or a frog or an octopus. I recently read Ed Yong's An Immense World about animal senses and how even a dog experiences smells is so radically different from how humans perceive the world. It's mind-blowing. And that's not even getting into some of the truly bizarre stuff, like the network of microbes under our feet that connect all of the trees that we see above the ground. Overall, we can slow down and notice the natural systems we are embedded in. We can also find ways to restore those ecosystems that Western society has damaged so deeply, to make them whole in ways that both respect the human and non-human life, and even non-life around us. For example, we can use clean energy that doesn't produce pollution, cultivate our yards as habitat for wildlife, get around in town in ways that connect rather than separate us, like walking, biking, and public transit, and turn our waste into good soil via composting. One particular powerful way to restore ecosystems is to change the political and social systems that affect them. If we can make negative ones, we can make positive ones too. We can envision what a more sustainable world would look like for everyone, creating ideas to work towards rather than a hellscape to avoid. We can make our communities more sustainable by making it safer to get around by walking and biking, or producing less waste, or using less energy. These all have a ripple effect. These actions help everyone, not just ourselves, shift towards a new sustainable relationship with our non-human siblings. God is love and loves all of creation, not just humans. By showing servant leadership towards creation and each other, we're loving God and all of our earthly neighbors in a deep and meaningful way. Happy Earth Day. Thanks.
CIB Just for Kids. Today I want to share some poems with you, seeing as it is National Poetry Month. So we'll get to that in a moment. I also want to share with you a mindful moment. I have our singing bowl here ready to go. Something that I learned recently is that singing bowls are from a very, very long time ago. They've been around for centuries, and interestingly enough, you can also find not just metal ones, but today we have crystal singing bowls. So I found that very exciting and very, very cool because I enjoy crystals. I think they're very beneficial, or at least beautiful to look at. So let's get into our seated position for our peaceful moment. This is a time for you to take a few deep breaths. You can close your eyes or keep them open, whatever's comfortable for you, and make sure that your head is over your heart and your heart is over your hips. Let's begin. Thank you for sharing that with me. So next, let's get into a couple of poems from this lovely, lovely book. Let me show it to you. This one is called I Am Loved. It's just a collection of poetry. There's a bunch more in here, but I'm just gonna read a few. This first one is called Leaves. On a rainy day when I am sitting in a tree, looking for a friend, I hope you'll be the one, standing at the root, holding out your arms to gently catch my fall. This one's called No Heaven. How can there be no heaven when rain falls gently on the grass, when sunshine scampers across my toes, when corn bakes into bread, when wheat melts into cake, when shadows cool and owls call and little finches eat upside down? How can there be no heaven when tears comfort, when dreams caress, when you smile at me? This one's called I Am a Mirror. I am a mirror. I reflect the grace of my mother, the tenacity of my grandmother, the patience of my grandfather, the sweat of my great-grandmother, the hope of my great-grandfather, the songs of my ancestors, the prayers of those on the auction block, the bravery of those in the middle passage. I reflect the strengths of my people, and for that alone, I am loved. So those are the poems I wanted to share with you. I hope that you enjoyed them. And finally, our activity for this week, I want to challenge you to write your own poem and for National Poetry Month, because it's a fun way to express yourself, and it doesn't have to rhyme. It doesn't have to make sense to anybody else but you. This is just for you. So I hope you enjoy the activity, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.